There is a strong and growing movement in this country to return to a constitutional republic, as reflected by the more than 1 million people who went to Washington, D.C. on September 12th this year. What are your thoughts on this movement?
My hat is off to all the people who went to Washington, and I applaud the movement. I'm actually involved in that movement. I continue to be involved in that movement. As a matter of fact, within Illinois, there's an effort right now amongst the Tea Party groups all over the state to try to get together, and we're not exactly unified on why we're getting together. And next week, as a matter of fact, my wife Karen and I are going to be attending another meeting of the many Tea Party groups around the state. The problem I'm seeing is that the movement is going from grassroots, which I do applaud, to people who are trying to get centralized control, and especially who are associated with the Republican Party, who are trying to take over the movement. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with conservative Republicans who want to be involved. I think that politicians from all parties should be involved and be responsive to the movement. Unfortunately, a large contingent are Republicans who want the Republican Party to control the Tea Party movement, or who want to make I've even heard one suggested we have a shadow political party made up of Tea Party people who will be ready to take over for the Republicans if they don't elect conservatives. In the end, that's going to destroy the movement. Mm-hmm. I think it needs to stay grassroots. Right. And I think that people need to stand up and say that, continue to be involved. I've noticed, of course, the wintertime brought a reduction in the number of events that was going on. Mm-hmm. Several of the groups, the Joliet group, the Homer Lockport group, they've had some great forums for the candidates up there, and my hat is off to them. But a lot of them actually started to endorse candidates. Mm. Most of them have pulled their endorsements because they recognize the problems associated with that. Right. Actually, I believe the 9/12 groups, who are also tied in with the Tea Party groups, the one in Peoria bucked the national movement to start another political party. The 9/12 group was actually suggesting that they needed another political party, as if the libertarians and the constitutionalists weren't enough for them. But I remember that the Peoria group actually came out with an open letter and said, no, we are not a political party. We are open to people of all political parties and all persuasions, as long as we agree with our central ideas of a constitutional government and a limited government. And I applaud that group for making their stand, and I believe the national people took that to heart, and they probably saw it throughout the country as well. So anyway, I'm probably going on too long about the one subject, but I do have a deep respect for the movement, and I'm trying to stay involved with the movement, and in such a way that doesn't, how shall I put it, I try to keep my candidacy separate from my Tea Party activism. Right. Mm-hmm. They both are going after the same goals, but I do not want to make the mistake that the Republicans are making with the Tea Party movement.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One last question. What can ordinary citizens like me do to reestablish a constitutional republic? And how can a governor assist in that effort?
Well, that's a big question, and yet it has very simple answers, and that is that we just need to get more involved. We were talking about making the polling place more fair by becoming an election judge. It starts at those modest levels. Go to your city council meetings, and you think, well, how does that make it a constitutional government? Well, we can hold them accountable to, if not the Constitution, at least to the ideals that inspired it. Certainly the local governments have their own set of rules and goals, and the state governments have their own goals. But it all starts with the activism of ordinary citizens. And that also includes writing to your congresspeople, writing to your president, writing to your state legislators. I know there's a lot of disappointment right now. If you live in Illinois and you didn't like the cap and trade bill or you didn't like the health care bill, who did you write to? The second ranking Democrat in the nation, Senator Dick Durbin.
Right.
Or Senator Burris, who is on board with everything that President Obama and the Democrats are trying to do. Mm-hmm. So what I see, now I've been writing letters to my legislators for years, maybe not as often as I should have, but I'm already familiar with rejection. I'm already familiar with form letters in reply or no replies.
Right.
This is part and parcel of the process. The real rubber meets the road in the election process. And then we hope to influence the process, but it's very often the case that our input falls on deaf ears. If we have a good legislator, they will write back with their reasoning for their vote, and they may even consider what we have to say. But we can't be discouraged. A lot of people who have just been involved for the last year, which seems to be a lot of people, mm-hmm. They get so discouraged that Senator Durbin's office won't listen to me. They even argue against me. Well, that may be. Then elect somebody else the mm-hmm. next time.
Right.
But don't give up. Don't stop writing the letters. Make Senator Durbin responsible for having not listened to his constituency. Mm-hmm. Don't let him say that nobody else spoke up, therefore I can do what I want to do. Make him do it against the popular opinion. I went to a city council meeting in Bloomington about 8 months ago, and they were talking about a tax increase. And they had a referendum, and they said there were not very many people who spoke up against it. Mm-hmm. And therefore they said, since there is not a popular opinion against it, we should go ahead and do it. Mm. Well, obviously that disappointed me. But apparently it didn't matter because either I wasn't heard or I didn't attend the appropriate hearing.
And I have enough company there with you.
Exactly.
Attending.
Exactly. So it comes down to we get the government we vote for and we get the government we're willing to accept. We have to get involved. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm running for governor. Mm-hmm. I'm not sticking my neck out for my own personal gain. I'm sticking my neck out and spending my time and my money running all over the state because I really believe that this is my civic duty.
And I really admire you for doing that, too.
Well, thank you. So, and I do issue a challenge out to all citizens. Do something. Even if it's just pick up the phone and call your city council person and say, don't vote for a tax increase. Mm-hmm. That is pressure to reduce the size of government. And talk to your senators or their representatives on the phone. And don't be discouraged. Continue to do it.
Mm-hmm. Talk to the neighbors, write letters to the editor.
Everything helps.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you, Lex, for coming and talking with me.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks.